Jai Bhavani. Friends, do you know what the symbol of strength in our ancient Indian culture is? Is it a muscle man lifting weights? No. In our tradition, the symbol of strength and power is a goddess. Sometimes this goddess is black as the darkest night. Other times, she is white like snow. Sometimes she is bronze like weapons of war. Sometimes she is dressed with beautiful jewels and silks. Other times she wears a necklace of skulls. But no matter what her form, fierce or beautiful, she is always supremely powerful and always ready to protect the universe. But how did this goddess become the goddess? Let's start with a princess named Parvati, the original princess, before every Disney princess. Parvati lived on a high palace up in the mountains in the Himalayas. She had every type of toy you could imagine. Every playmate would entertain her. She had beautiful gardens to wander in, wonderful food to eat, and a family that loved her. But every once in a while, Parvati would look out from her balcony at one of the highest peaks nearby. That peak called to her. She would ask her parents, she would ask every wise woman and wise man who came to her palace, what is on that peak in the mountains? One sage told her that peak is Mount Kailash. And on Mount Kailash meditates the god Shiva. Shiva? Parvati said. Yes, Shiva, the first yogi, the one who meditates and knows that he is one with all of the universe and that the entire universe resides in him. Shiva, whose hand holds the drum of creation and the fire of destruction. He is everything all in one. And Parvati thought, if I aim for anything in life, I want to aim for that highest peak. I want the highest peak of meditation, the highest peak of creation and destruction. I want to achieve Kailash. And so, one day, Parvati left the beautiful palace and the luxuries behind her. She began to climb up the peak of Kailash. No one had climbed it before she climbed it, and no one has even climbed it since. She climbed higher and higher, her silks turning into rags, her feet bleeding from the climb. Hungry, tired, thirsty, she reached the top of the mountain, but she felt nothing except a sense of power and ambition. She would become the consort of Shiva. Now, she didn't know how to get his attention. He didn't seem like the type of god who would be impressed by beauty or anything on the surface. So she wondered how she would get him to even look at her, much less accept her partnership. So the gods came to her. You see, the gods wanted Shiva to marry and have children because there was a prophecy that Shiva's child would become the commander-in-chief of the gods and help them to defeat evil forces. So the god of love came to Parvati and he said, I can help. Kamadev, the god of love, with his sugarcane bow and bees and bowstring made out of bees, came to Parvati and he said, just wait over there. I'm going to make this deserted mountain a haven of spring. So he shot an arrow into the air and spring blossomed around the mountain. Then he shot an arrow well aimed at the heart of meditating Shiva. And when Shiva opened his eyes, he looked at the charming flowers and birds all around him, and he thought, oh, it's so beautiful. And then his eyes fell on Parvati, who sat near him, and his heart began to melt with love for her. But then, remember, this is the first ascetic, the one who can meditate and rise above everything around him. And he said, wait a minute, I don't feel love. That is not what I'm here for. And so he looked around to find who had woken him from his meditation. And when his eyes fell on Kamadev, the god of love, he opened his third eye, the eye of knowledge, and burned the god of love to ashes. Parvati was devastated. What would she do now? She decided, seeing Shiva sit and start meditating again as if nothing had happened, that she would meditate too. She would go deep within herself, within her own soul, and discover the eternal power, the cosmic strength within her. And she meditated, and she gave up food and water and even leaves. She became known as Aparna, not even a leaf. And when the fire of Parvati's meditation began to burn and began to equal and eclipse that of Shiva himself, he opened his eyes, and he knew that this human woman had earned the right to become the goddess, his consort, his other half that he had been looking for all these years. And so Parvati and Shiva were married. That's a story for another day. But we'll meet again soon, and we'll talk about what this goddess did when the world was threatened by evil. I hope you'll join me during this beautiful Navaratri season as we explore the divine feminine, the power of the goddess. Jai Bhavani.